Here.
Here.
Belanger.
Here.
3 present.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today for the Public Safety Subcommittee on this date, March 4th, 2014. I want to thank the Chief, his administration, for being here today. Manager Lynch, thank you. Councilors Leahy, Melanazzo, Mayor Elliott, thank you for being here. Also, State Rep Tom Golden, Senator Eileen Donahue, thank you for being here today. And also State Rep Kevin Murphy, thank you for being here as well. Our first motion for this meeting is by Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Kennedy. It's for the City Council to request the Public Safety Subcommittee to meet with the Police Superintendent to begin discussion of implementation of community policing. Here tonight, Superintendent Taylor is going to give us a presentation of the reorganization and the community policing program he wants to put forward. Superintendent?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Councilor and other members of the City Council and the delegation that are present, Mayor Elliott, and certainly my staff. Let me say at the opening that the command staff of the Police Department has been working on this reorganization and a reinvigoration of the community policing efforts in the City of Lowell for approximately the past 2 months. Much of the work has been done by members of my staff, and I certainly would be remiss if I didn't thank them greatly for their efforts. Certainly Deputy Superintendents Ryan and Deb Friedel and Marianne Bellata, who is the Director of our Research and Development Program in the Police Department, put a tremendous amount of effort into this project, and this plan greatly reflects their efforts and their talent, so I'd like to thank them publicly for their efforts. The next slide we'll talk about, and I will make a point to look at some of the slides here. When we decided to do this, and we thought that this was important to reorganize the police department to find the necessary resources to reinstitute some of the community policing programs of the past, the first thing we did was look at the mission of the police department. And certainly the mission of the Lowell Police Department is to work with the community to reduce crime, the fear of crime, and to improve the quality of life in the city of Lowell. To do that, we stress partnerships, professionalism, integrity, and fairness. The 3 main goals of this strategic reorganization of the Lowell Police Department. Number 1, to reinvigorate the community policing efforts in the city of Lowell. To do that, building partnerships with community interaction, communicating with the residents and the business owners, and focusing heavily on problem solving as an approach to reduce crime and fear of crime in the community. We also wanted to address the ongoing policy issues in the police department and the dissemination of the policies and procedures of the Lowell Police Department. The third thing that we wanted to do was we had identified a portion of the police department that was in need of additional supervision and a command structure, and we made a determination that certain aspects of that were lacking, and that was one of the additional primary focuses of this reorganization. When we looked at the reorganization, we decided to use a smart policing model, which has already been in use in the Lowell Police Department for the past several years. And we took a strategic approach to this to use to fight crime, not just by putting cops on dots or having them walk around the neighborhood, but we wanted them to be more involved and focus on problem solving. We wanted it to be managed, oversight by all the supervisors in the police department. We wanted to use data. We wanted to have a very analytical approach to this and work closely with a team, including crime analysts and our intelligence unit. We looked at a couple of different research models, and I'll go into that briefly in the next couple of slides, as the basis of some of this research and some of the community policing efforts that we made a determination would work well in the city of Lowell. And then certainly we believe that it should be based in technology, and we're going to use things like iPads so that officers can have access to real-time crime data And by using the technology, certainly, it's going to allow us to do more with fewer officers, so that we think we can approximate some of the initiatives that we used to do when we had almost 260 police officers in the city. But we believe using the appropriate technology and some of the strategies that we're going to discuss, that we can do more with less. The first project that we looked at, the first research project, was a Jacksonville problem-oriented policing study that was done for a federal, as part of a federal grant. And what that study basically does is it looks at the effectiveness of problem-oriented policing versus a standardized saturation patrol. We had done saturation patrols here in the city of Lowell for several years, and they had been effective. But what this study clearly indicates is that problem-solving activities had better results, and it included, obviously, supervisors, patrol officers, and a team of dedicated crime analysts to work as a team. They identified underlying factors of crime and disorder in these communities, neighborhoods. And some of the strategies included situational crime enforcement, code enforcement, and nuisance abatement. This particular study relied very heavily on partnerships with business owners, retail property managers, and community organizers in these isolated neighborhoods. And the results were very good. They indicated that the saturation patrols did reduce violent crime in these in this experimental areas by a factor of 4 to 20%. But the effects decayed quickly over time. Where the problem-solving approach, which is the one we've adopted, had much better results, up to 33% crime reduction in these experimental areas, and they certainly had a more long-lasting effect, which is what we wanted to do. So this study here was very much factored into our plan as we move forward. We took a look at a second study, which is the Philadelphia Foot Patrol study. And basically, this study highlights the effectiveness of foot patrols in an urban, crime-affected area. Officers were assigned to foot patrols in Philadelphia in some of the highest violent crime areas in the city. And the results indicated that violent crime was decreased by 22%, and drug-related proactive enforcement by the officers increased 15% in these areas, and also arrests increased by a factor of 13%. So it clearly highlights the advantages of foot patrols in a given area that's experiencing some crime issues. In the city of Lowell, what we did is we took both of these studies and we factored them into what we believe is an evidence-based policing strategy in the Lowell Police Department. We're going to utilize foot and bicycle patrols heavily in these areas. We're going to, I think one of the key components of this proposal is it's going to be a problem-oriented policing approach. Not just officers walking around the neighborhood, but officers teaming with dedicated crime analysts in the team, and they're going to work at some of the underlying causes of crime in these neighborhoods. So if we take the team of the officers, crime analysts, and the community members, they're going to work to focus on these underlying causes of crime. We will use segways and bicycles, and we will work to engage the community in partnerships even more than we already have. The Lowell Police Department has been at the forefront of collaboration and partnership. We look to expand those as we move forward. The core of this is we're going to divide the city into 2 patrol sectors. Each sector will be commanded by a captain, and then each sector will be subdivided into 2 districts. And each sector will have a dedicated community policing precinct, so a headquarters, if you will. Inside the headquarters will work a team of dedicated crime analysts. We anticipate we'll put 1 or 2 crime analysts in these community policing precincts in the sectors to work as a team with the officers and the community leaders. And then, as I indicated, each one of these sectors will have 2 districts, and the districts will include a lieutenant and geographic assignment and supervision, so there'll be ownership and accountability in these geographic areas, which is another key tenet of any successful community policing program. 6 offices will be assigned to each one of these districts. So there'll be six offices assigned to each one of the districts, and there'll be a total of 4 districts across the city. Each one of the offices that will be assigned to one of these districts will be issued their own bicycle, and we also anticipate that we will issue them some kind of a communication device, so potentially like a mini iPad that they'll use to be able to get real live crime data as they go about their chores and their duties in the course of the day. The offices in these crime districts, in the districts, will also work in collaboration with the other offices, the regular patrol sector offices that will be assigned to the cruisers. So there very much be a team concept here, everybody working together. We divided the city into these 2 sectors and 4 districts. We did research. We asked our crime analyst unit to evaluate the calls for service in each one of these districts. And as you can see, the computer-aided dispatch, which is the calls for service, indicates that each one of these districts are very closely to each other in terms of their calls for service. You can see those are the numbers for 2013. And here is the map that graphically displays how this will actually look. You see that Sector A, which is going to be the north sector, includes everything north of the river, Centerville and Pawtuckaville. It also includes downtown and the Acre. Then within the north sector, we divide it up into 2 districts. District A1, which includes Centerville and Pawtuckaville, and District A2, which will include the Acre and the downtown section of the city. The B sector, or the south sector, includes District B1, which is both of the Highlands, the Lower Highlands and the Outer Highlands. And District B2 includes Belvedere, South Lowell, Back Central, and the Sacred Heart neighborhoods. We also incorporated, as I indicated at the beginning of the presentation, a reorganization of the support services. And what we did there was we added a new division under the heading of a captain, and that division is going to incorporate communications and staff services. We've added a lieutenant to that division so that we will get coverage for supervision, high-level supervision of that district over 16 hours a day, the day shift and the early night shift. And that district is going to include, that division will include the communications room, the prisoner processing area, the cell block area, and also our records management. And that is a division, a new division, but it's clearly an area in the police department that we've identified lacked sufficient supervision and sufficient command level exposure in the police department. So by taking those 3 components, adding it into a new division with its own supervisory structure, we believe that that will assist us in getting the appropriate amount of supervision in that division. The other thing that is important component of the support services reorganization is a focus on policy and procedures to update and disseminate these policies. They are largely in the process of being finalized in terms of their completion. Much work had been done prior to my assuming the position. I've assigned a captain, a command level officer to complete that process, and we are in the process of completing them and disseminating them. Actually, I should say, finding the appropriate way to appropriately disseminate them across the organization. And that will be a key component of the reorganization of support services. We've also taken the auxiliary police and the school crossing guards, which had been previously part of support services, and we've put them into the traffic division of the police department, which we think is more appropriate, more in line with what their primary function is. So we think that's a good move and allows us to focus more attention into the certain aspects of the support services. The final aspect of support services reorganization is we are going to fortify the Special Investigations Unit. We will put additional resources and supervision in the Special Investigations to focus on drug and gang investigations. I think everybody's heard me talk about the change in the drug and gang profile across the city. Certainly the gangs are more into drug trafficking, and we need to adjust our efforts in that regard more in tune with investigations, and this will accomplish that. So some of the initiatives for the reorganization, we certainly will increase the use of social media. We will utilize our EOPS. We received a staffing grant from the Executive Office of Public Safety, and we will utilize that staffing grant to hire additional civilians with the funds that are available. And we will reorganize those civilian positions within the police department so that we can place civilians in positions that officers had been previously done, that we've taken and redirected to these community policing efforts. And I think that will be a big benefit as we move forward. Some of the requests that I'd ask the council to consider as we move forward is 5 additional patrol positions, which will be incorporated into this community policing and reorganization effort. I'd like the council to consider that for the 2015 budget if possible. Part of this project also relies on an additional precinct in the Lower Centerville area. Ideally, like that in the Bridge Street corridor, somewhere between West 3rd, West 4th, and West 6th Street in that general area. I think that would be instrumental to this. That will partner with the precinct, the large precinct that we have in the Lower Highlands over by the Boys and Girls Club, and I think that would assist us greatly in this reorganization. The other thing I think that needs to be mentioned is we would need some consideration, would be requested for some of the capital improvements we've requested, specifically in the upgrade in technology in the cell block and prisoner management area. Certainly some of the software, the technology, and some of the other items down there are in need of upgrading to be in line with some of the best practices in that regard, as we've identified as we've done our research in this. So to accommodate this, we had to find 24 positions to put in these district response teams. And just to give you some of the highlights of where we were able to find those 24 positions, 10 of them are new officers that just came off, graduated the academy in November, and then they came off the PTO training program recently within the last month. 2 of them were from the warrant unit, and the way that we will continue to accomplish warrant apprehensions and warrant management in the city is we're going to use some new technology, detail that function out to these district response teams, and they will be responsible on a daily basis to we will give them the information. They would be responsible in their own geographic areas to go out and find the people in the warrants. Some of the more high-profile cases will be, in terms of warrant apprehension, we'll go back to the investigative units. They typically investigate those individuals, so they know very well some of the details about where they may live or where they may reside, and they can accomplish that. You'll see the community response unit has been incorporated into this plan. In essence, we're going to make 4 district response units over 16 hours a day. So very much that's incorporated. We are going to reallocate their traditional gang unit function over to the special investigations. As I've indicated, we believe that clearly it's more appropriate from the gang perspective now to investigate and target them on the drug trafficking perspective. So we think that that's best focused in that avenue going forward. The school resource officers, I have taken 1 school resource officer position. When I evaluated the school resource officer program. We have a total of 10 officers currently assigned to the school resource officer program. One's a supervisor and 9 officers. But the way they had been configured and assigned over the years, some middle schools received a full-time police officer, and some middle schools received no officer. In addition to that, we had an officer that was assigned to teach some curriculum. And in conversation with the school department, they'd prefer that their staff teach the curriculum, which I think I agree with. I think that's appropriate. And so what we're going to do with the school resource officer program is I'm going to assign officers to the high school. Obviously, this is in great collaboration with the school department. That's essentially will be great discussions with this as we move forward, but there'll be a group of officers assigned to the high school and the freshman academy. The other officers, 4 or 5 officers, will be divided up geographically, and each officer will have approximately 2 middle schools and a couple of elementary schools, and those officers assigned to their small geographic area will be responsible for touching base with each one of those schools on a daily basis. And I think that in that way, every school in the city will receive appropriate coverage, not some schools getting 100% and some schools getting next to nothing. So I think that's a better distribution of the resources for those school resource officers. You can see that there's some other units there, the quartermaster, criminal investigations unit. We took a position there, and we combined the safety officer program along with the PAL officer. We evaluated these positions. Again, some tough decisions had to be made here because we needed these positions, but we felt as though we can take those functions, combine a couple of them together. Officers can assist us, and we don't believe that we'll have any significant reduction in our mission or our services to these individual groups. And just to give you an idea of, I think, how successful hopefully this will be, with money that we've had supplied to us certainly by the City Council and by some grants that we've received from the state and federal government, for the last several months, even before my tenure there, when the interim superintendent Frieda was there, and obviously at the direction of Deputy Ryan, we started instituting these foot patrols several months ago. And we did it using the grant funds. And the results have been very promising. As you can see, just taking a very small snapshot here from approximately December 12th through February, so about a 90-day period, we've seen almost a 9% reduction in our core crime, our comp stack crime, which we believe is directly relates to the quality of life in these neighborhoods across the city. So what we intend to do is we believe that this reinvigoration of the community policing program will allow us to institutionalize these foot patrols across the city so that they'll, we'll see long-term lasting results from this. And then we can take the additional funds that we have and beef up, for example, the downtown area in the evening. We can fill in some of the blanks here with the overtime. But this will essentially hopefully continue this progress that's been made over the past several months going forward. The other component that I didn't discuss here is this plan with the 24 offices divided into 4 districts. In addition to that, we're going to also have additional resources downtown. So there'll be 2 officers assigned to downtown on the day shift and the evening shift as part of this program, and they will utilize the segways. So those 24 officers do not incorporate the officers that are going to be dedicated to downtown. That's additional resources downtown. And then the final slide is the new organizational chart for the police department. And this is kind of inside baseball stuff, but you're more than welcome to review it. So I think that we've put a lot of effort into it. It's been based on research from a couple of different models across the country over the past several years. And clearly what we're trying to do here is focus additional resources into the neighborhoods on foot, bicycle, segways, to interact, partner with the communities in geographic areas across the city. And most importantly, I think the key component of this plan, which I actually believe will be replicated in other areas, quite candidly, is the problem-solving approach. The combining of the officers with the dedicated crime analysts and the neighborhood partnerships, the collaboration in the neighborhood, which is going to try and find, they will work together to find those core underlying issues in the neighborhood, those crime generators, the problems in the neighborhood, and they will work strategically to focus on those problems, hopefully find innovative or new ways to attack those issues, and that they will have long-term lasting results and improve the quality of life in the neighborhood. And I think this plan addresses those concerns. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Quickly, I could recognize Councilors Samaras, Martin, and Kennedy. Thank you for being here this evening. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the superintendent, it is a great presentation. We're very, very pleased about that. In the audience, we have a few neighborhood group leaders as well, and we are partners in this. It's not about the city council. It's about the public. It's about the neighborhood groups. It's about the message that they give to us that we bring forward, and you're listening to us because we're bringing their message. What worked many years ago in my day, we're bringing it back again. When the neighborhood police officer walked through the neighborhood, it was a good rapport. It was a good partnership in that respect. So I'm pleased to see what I see here. I also feel that since neighborhood group leaders are here, I would have liked to, whatever you have, that they should have it as well, because they bring that back to their little sections of the city, and they act as counselors in their district as well to give that information. I'm very, very pleased about that. And since we're talking about public safety, and I think I can segue, you know, like you're going to utilize segues, I'm going to segue this into you as well, because there was an article in the paper talking about safety, and I think this is a part of it, and I thought that article in the paper was right on, spot on, when they talked about their concerns to update policy and procedures when it comes to you want to provide additional attention to the cell block, let's say, and I think that's very important. Improve, update training in that respect. And I know that these issues that I'm talking about, you're going to do that. Have police officers sign off on policies supplied to them so that we're aware that they got it, that they read it, that they understand it, that no policy, whether it's online or in the system, should be incomplete. It has to be filled and has to be understood. And when we say 30 minutes to check on a prisoner, I think that's a little bit too long. 15 minutes would be better, but a camera would be even better, and I know that takes money. And I know that we're talking about safety, so just because people get arrested, they do stupid things, doesn't mean they, you know, that they shouldn't be supervised. So, and I also want to give you another comment that I have. When police officers are out in the field and they email, no matter if it's you, chief, or the deputies, and they offer suggestions, we should give thought to what they're saying, because their ideas may be very beneficial. You know what I mean? They contain good merit, in my opinion, because they're there dealing with this each and every day. So I just wanted to say these comments, but I'm very, very pleased at what you're doing. This is exactly what we wanted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Belanger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to concur with Councilor Mercia that Chief, it's been a long time coming, a few short months. We've been very, very anxious, and we're very, very pleased what we see here. We see a plan that you've certainly done your research. It's well thought out, and I think it's going to be very, very effective. And one thing that really points out to me is the aspect of civilian positions where an officer is better well served in the street than he or she answering telephones, booking details or whatnot, if that's just an example. But certainly, that serves, I think, the city and the public very, very well in that regard, so I'm very, very impressed in that regard, number one. But, Mr. Chairman, through you to the superintendent. Now, Chief, as you know, I don't have to tell you that the decriminalization of marijuana has caused some unintended results here that the city's facing, where there's been a spike in violence, and throughout the Commonwealth as well. So can you better describe what we're going to do with I mean, it's been fairly quiet as of late, but it's been a very extreme winter, knock on wood, correct? But the good weather will soon be here. So can you please better describe for this subcommittee and the public what the plan is to really combat this and quiet the situation down, if you don't mind?
Well, I think in addition to the community policing efforts, which are going to be instrumental in the problem-solving approach, clearly we've identified that the gang issue has changed in this city. The gang members are involved in drug trafficking now. They're profit-motivated. They're involved in drug trafficking. Quite candidly, a lot of it is marijuana-based at this point because there's a tremendous amount of money that can be generated from illegal marijuana sales. And, without question, the demand for marijuana has increased. There's no question about it, I believe, in this city. And as a result, when you have an increase in demand, the supply will follow. It's basic, very elementary economics. And so the void that's left there, some of the gang members across the city have evolved into the drug distribution trade. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to refocus our efforts in terms of these gangs more in line with the Special Investigations Unit. We're going to target these networks. We know how to do that. We can be very successful at taking down and dismantling entire organizations. I've already reached out to several federal agencies, the FBI, DEA. Certainly the district attorney's office will be an integral partner with us on this. They've expressed, they've already quite candidly been working in this regard with us. So I anticipate that we will have a very proactive investigative approach. In combination with that, these officers in the neighborhoods, very high visibility, proactive patrol, they'll be instrumental in that too. So we're going to attack it from several different angles.
Thank you very much, Chief. Again, it's an outstanding plan. In this council, you've already stated that, but this subcommittee and the council wants to know your wants and needs to execute this plan to the fullest. And I plan on supporting it, whatever it takes to get. Because this city, without public safety, we have nothing. We can concentrate on economic development, tourism, schools, but if we don't have public safety, we have nothing. So it is paramount, quite frankly. So please, as we enter the budget time, your timing is very impeccable, actually, if I may. Please let us know, keep us informed what you need to implement this plan, and I'm pretty sure you'll have this council's support.
I appreciate it. And the men and women in the organization greatly appreciate the support.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you for all your time and effort to yourself and your staff, and we're counting on you very much, all of you. Thank you very much.
One quick question, Chief.
Sure.
How many total officers do you see in each of the 4 districts at any point in time of the day or evening?
Well, we're going to do it 2 different ways. We're going to put 3 officers on a shift. So there'll be coverage in the district focusing on these problem-solving teams for about 16 hours a day. So from about 8:30 in the morning till about 11:30, 12 o'clock in midnight. But that's an overlay over the already existing patrol assets that we have in all these neighborhoods. But these officers are going to be primarily focused on problem solving and working at some of the root causes in the neighborhood. So it'll be a combination.
Great, thank you. We do have our state delegation here this evening. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for asking us to attend. That was a very important and impressive presentation by the chief, and one that, I know we hear loud and clear and are ready to partner with the city wherever needed. I know we've partnered when it comes to Shannon grants and regarding gang activities. I know We partnered when it has involved the opiate task force that Representative Golden has been so involved in. And so day in and day out, whatever it takes, we're keenly aware of the problems here, and it's very helpful to hear firsthand what's happening here in the city, because obviously, as Councilor Belanger has pointed out, public safety is number one.
Senator, thank you.
No, I concur with Senator Donahue. I mean, obviously, we look forward to working with you in the future. We've done that.
Thank you.
We're able to identify some police staffing funding. I paid attention when you were saying you were looking for grants, because we've identified those funds in the past. And Tommy Golden was really, really good to identify those, and then we lobbied for them. So keep us informed, and we'll help you out in any way we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, and through you to the chief. Chief, as my colleagues have said, and also Representative Nangle, who could not be here tonight, but he did send Brian Hoey, who is here. So I want to say thank you very much for Brian for being here. But I think that Councilor Belanger and Councilor Mercier, and as well as Councilor Rourke, have really stated it best when they're talking about what are the wants and needs. We need to know what they are, because within the last couple of years, we talked about the municipal police staffing and the Shannon grant. And when we're asked what we need for our cities and towns throughout the Commonwealth, that this stuff does happen, we have tried to put more money into that. So don't be afraid to ask. I don't think you will be with the trusted deputies that you have to your right there. We've had many discussions, so I just want to say thank you very much, and this looks like a great idea, great plan, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilman Nazzo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the superintendent, thank you for the presentation. Thank you to you and your command staff for putting what I really consider to be a well-thought-out presentation. My question to you, and first of all, congratulations on getting your ask in early for the FY15 budget. I commend you for that as well. But again, as Councilor Belanger and the entire City Council, obviously public safety is very important going forward. But my question has to do with the partnership that the Lowell Police Department has with UMass Lowell Police, as well as the National Park Service. How do you see integrating that partnership, or those personnel, into this community policing model?
Well, we have a great partnership. As a matter of fact, I have a scheduled meeting with Chief Brashears next week, so we get together quite often. One of the first things we did after I took this position was to introduce joint patrols between the University Police and the City Police Department, and I think those have been tremendously successful. They partner a Lowell police officer and a Lowell police officer on foot, one in the East Pawtuckaville neighborhood and one in the Upper Acre area, the Salem, Merrimack Street area. I think the offices in both organizations have done a tremendous job, and so far the results have been very, very good. And I certainly would continue that certainly through the semester. We've been able to use our state staffing funds, overtime funds, to pay for those patrols so far, and we will continue to meet with the university and enter into collaboration. You know, the university is a significant partner with the Lowell Police Department. They provide facilities and training for us, certainly including our Lowell Police Academy, which will be starting in June. So we work literally seamlessly with their police department day in and day out.
Thank you, Chief.
Councilor Leahy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, this is a great presentation, and I'm glad off of Councilor Milanazzo's question, I'm glad to hear that you're doing the partnering with the patrols. I think that's very important, and we've been asking about that for, the past year, so I'm glad to hear that. I think that's a great idea. I don't know who came up with it, probably you, but that's a great idea that they're partnering, they're walking the neighborhoods and expanding that. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Councilor Samaras?
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for that comprehensive plan. I was also very glad to hear about your approach to dealing with the school resource officer situation. I mean, that was true. Some schools had it all, some schools didn't, and I think having a balanced act will really, really help. We also had the Safety First program back a number of years, which helped take a lot of, we'll say, gang members off the street. Do you plan anything like that, or any expansion or continuation of that process?
Well, actually, it's kind of evolved into the Lowell Youth Development Council, and we had a meeting on Monday. So we still, the concept is still live, and we meet on a monthly basis, chaired by the city manager and district attorney and myself. And most recently, we had a discussion on Monday about the opiate problem that the whole state and the whole region is facing, and some strategies that we can employ moving forward on that. So we still do meet, and it's very much a component of our safety strategy in the city.
Well, that's an area we'd like to show our support for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Mayor Elliott?
Excuse me, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the delegation for joining us here tonight. I firmly believe that it's so instrumental to have the support of the delegation, as we always have, particularly for funding. We can't do it without your help, and whether it's just general local aid or Shannon grant funds, there was a discussion about them being in jeopardy. There was almost panic going through not only the chamber but the police department, because those free up significant resources for us to use on other things such as overtime or additional enforcement. But or other grants that we have just recently received as well. But I firmly believe this is one of the most important, if not the most important initiative that the city will undertake in the next, in this term, in the next number of years. I'm impressed that the blueprint is laid out. It's not just saturation policing. It's not just smart policing. It's a combination of both. I like the fact that it's problem-oriented policing, where we're going into a neighborhood, looking at the root causes, code enforcement, nuisance abatement. Those are the things where, yes, you can go in, you can quell a situation, make arrests, but is the problem going away, or are we just chasing it from one area to another? So I think it's a very good approach. I think you've also heard from neighborhood leaders and members of the council and public in general that we want officers on the street. We want them more visible. It does have an effect. And we've seen, according to the data that you've looked at, that there's been a significant impact in this short time frame. So I think it's a very positive step and a shot in the arm that the neighborhoods are looking for: more police officers, more visibility, bikes, segways, and I do believe it's a thorough, comprehensive approach that will change how we address public safety and make an impact, and that's what we're looking for. That's what people are looking for, and I'm enthusiastic about it. So we've been eager to get this presentation, and the neighborhoods and the people in the city are eager to see public safety addressed in a stronger, more direct manner, and this is it. So I want to thank you and look forward to future meetings when we see results and how you're making adjustments moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, any questions from public?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I can just make one quick comment. I have to greatly give my thanks to both the Superior Officers Union and the Patrol Officers Union in the city. The change is difficult, and they have been exceptionally cooperative and supportive of this plan as we move forward. So they're integral. They're actually the men and women in the organization that are going to be out there doing the job day in and day out, and they've been great. So I greatly have to appreciate that.
Thank you. At this time, anyone?
Hello, my name is Anne Marie Page. I reside at 26 Fremont Street in Lowell, and I am the president of the Citywide Neighborhood Council. We want to say thank you to all of you for being here tonight. We know you have a busy day before you even got in the car to come here. So we appreciate it, each and every one of you. The plan looks real good. It really does. It's what we've been asking for, what we've been looking for. And to see more officers on the street is a good sign. We are already seeing more in Centerville because we're working off the C grant Sea Fire grant, and I want to thank Mary Ann Bellatas, who's sitting here, for all her hard work for that grant. Anybody that can bless money and make it multiply is good. So that's been very good. We appreciate what you've done. We're looking for these segue things. Maybe I'm too old-fashioned. And some cities like them and some cities don't like them, but I'm sure we have policies in place so that only authorized people will go near the segways. But it all comes down to see something, say something, which was an excellent plan that was initiated by City Manager Bernie Lynch, and it's worked. It's been our plan and Senable for a while. If it doesn't look right, doesn't smell right, doesn't sound right, it isn't right. So we are now team players. We work together as a team, each and every one of us. And this team is awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate all you do for us.
Thank you, Mrs. Page. Anything further? Real quickly, Chief, I have one question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You did mention the code enforcement as part of your presentation. How do you see the partnership between the police department and the code enforcement working together going forward?
Well, ultimately, what I'd like to do, and we just had a conversation about this afternoon, Arthur Ryan and Debbie Friedel and myself. These two precincts that we're going to have across the city, one in hopefully Lower Centerville and the existing one in the Lower Highlands, we could almost envision them as being a hub for not just police activity, but maybe potentially some other city services. But certainly what they could be is where the police, the crime analysts, and other components of city government get together to strategize and find innovative solutions to some of the problems that are affecting. And what's key to these precincts is that contact between all the parties. They get together and on an informal basis over a cup of coffee, and they discuss problems in the neighborhood. And that's really where the genius of this plan, hopefully, will arise from. And it certainly includes code enforcement, police department, and all aspects of the city, including the community groups. And that's really where you're going to get significant results, I think.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
Mr. Chairman, I couldn't agree more, and I'm glad you raised that question. When we did the reorganization of inspectional services a few years back, one of the goals of what we were doing was to tie in the inspectional services people with the police department in a more formal way, so their districts have been designed so that they match up with the police, and they have become participants at the CompStat meetings, and we have the Problem Property Task Force where police as well as the code inspection people sit down on a regular basis. So what we'll do now with the reorganization now complete and ready to go, I think the chief will be working with DPD and realigning their districts and again tying it in. And I think the idea of having those precincts be hubs where that teamwork can really be facilitated makes a tremendous amount of sense.
Thank you. Councilor Belanger?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman. To the superintendent. Now, Chief, regarding overtime, now I'm thinking your plan, if things start, we get some areas with activity in the summertime. Now, are we going to use overtime as a tool for that rather than pull officers from one sector of the city over to the other?
Yes.
Do you see the amount of overtime we have adequate? What do you consider suitable to deploy to the hot spots in the city as we have more and more activity?
Yes, I do. I think that this plan incorporates existing funding levels with the addition of potentially the 5 additional positions and maybe a community policing precinct. We're also looking, maybe we can reduce one of our off-site locations if we get a big enough precinct in the Lower Centerville area, which is, again, part of our discussion this afternoon. We could use that as a hub, and we may be able to potentially not need one of our off-site locations. So we may be able to get a big enough location in Lower Centerville that it really serves a couple of different purposes. And so that would maybe not necessitate that additional funding, but that's something we'll have to work out. But the existing level of funding for the overtime, I think, would be instrumental because that allows us to do fun things like the downtown initiative and some of the other inevitable problems that will occur.
Excellent. Thank you.
Chief, once again, just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
For the presentation tonight, and I want to thank everybody else for being here tonight. It was well done, and look forward to working together in the future.
Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay. Thank you. All right. Done. That's good. Do you have extras?
I wrote on them.
That's all right.
The date's wrong.
That's all right.